Welcome to UF-OMG, where stories live.
Well, welcome to UF-OMG, The Ripple Effect, a tale of intention and transformation. Gather around, friends, and let me tell you a story about the power hidden in our thoughts, a power so quiet you might miss it, yet so vast it could ripple across the world. This is the tale of a small town called Eldermoor, a place where the air hung heavy with doubt, and a woman named Clara who dared to believe in something bigger. Eldermoor wasn't much to look at. Tucked between a crooked river and a sagging forest, it was a town where folks kept their heads down and their dreams smaller than a pebble. The water in the river ran murky, the crops barely grew, and every week seemed to bring another squabble. Neighbors yelling over fences, kids scrapping in the dirt. People said it was just how things were, that Eldermoor was cursed with bad luck. But Clara didn't buy it. Clara was a baker with flour-dusted hands and a spark in her eye that hadn't dimmed since she was a girl. She'd read a book, not just any book, mind you, but one called The Intention Experiment by a woman named Lynne McTaggart. It told of strange things, how thoughts could change water, how a group of people focusing together might shift the world itself. Clara couldn't stop thinking about it. She'd stare at her dough rising and wonder, if I can will this bread to puff up, what else could I will into being? One rainy afternoon, she sat by her window, watching droplets plink into a puddle. The book had talked about a man named Dr. Emoto, who'd frozen water after whispering words to it, words like love or hate. Under a microscope, the love water turned into crystals, dazzling as snowflakes, while the hate water twisted into ugly smears. Clara thought of Eldermoor's muddy river. What if we're poisoning it with our grumbling? She mused. What if we could clean it with our minds? She decided to try something wild. That night she called a meeting at the old town hall, a creaky barn with a leaky roof. Only a dozen folks showed up, shivering in their coats, eyeing her like she'd lost her marbles. There was Old Man Tate, who grumbled about everything, Lila, the school teacher with tired eyes, and little Jamie, who'd tagged along with his mom, kicking a pebble across the floor. "Listen," Clara said, her voice steady as she held up the book. "This says our thoughts have power, that if we focus together, we might change things, starting with the river. I say we try it. One night, one big wish." Tate snorted. "You think wishing'll fix that sludge? I've seen pigs swim in cleaner water." "Maybe not," Clara shot back. "But what's it hurt to try? Worst case, we're out here looking foolish together." Lila shrugged. "I'm in. Beats grading papers." Jamie piped up. "Can we wish for candy too?" That got a laugh, and somehow the room softened. They agreed tomorrow night they'd meet by the riverbank. Word spread like wildfire, or maybe like a whisper on the wind. By the next evening, nearly 50 folks stood shivering under the stars, their boots sinking into the mud. Clara had brought a lantern, casting a golden glow over their faces, skeptical, curious, hopeful. She'd read the book's instructions. Pick a target, focus as one, feel it deep in your bones. So she took a breath and began. "Close your eyes," she said, her voice cutting through the night. "Picture the river, clear as glass, sparkling under the moon. Imagine fish darting, reeds swaying, the water so pure you'd drink it without a second thought. Feel it like it's already true. Hold that picture tight." At first it was awkward. Tate muttered under his breath, and someone coughed. But then, silence. A strange stillness settled, like the air itself was listening. Clara felt it, a hum in her chest, a warmth spreading from her heart to her fingertips. She peeked and saw Jamie, eyes squeezed shut, grinning like he could taste that candy already. Lila's lips moved silently, and even Tate's scowl had softened. For 10 minutes they stood there, 50 minds weaving one dream. The wind rustled the trees, and the river gurgled almost like it was waking up. When they opened their eyes, nothing looked different. Not yet. "Well," Tate huffed, "that was a waste." But Clara just smiled. "Give it time," she said. The next morning, Jamie ran into town, hollering, "The river! The river!" Folks stumbled out of their houses, rubbing sleep from their eyes. And there it was. The water still muddy in spots, but clearer than it had been in years. A shimmer danced on its surface, like the sun had decided to play there. Old Man Tate squinted, then muttered, "Coincidence." But Jamie scooped up a handful, giggling, "It don't even stink." Clara didn't stop there. She'd read about Lynne's bigger experiments. Thousands of people aiming their thoughts at war-torn places, watching crime drop like stones in a, well, if 12 of us can nudge a river, she thought, what could 100 do? So she spread the word again, this time with flyers. "Eldermoor Intention Night. Let's fix what's broken." The next gathering was a sight. 100 souls crammed into the town square, farmers, kids, even the mayor, who'd never believed in much beyond taxes. Clara stood on a crate, her voice ringing out. "Tonight we're aiming bigger. Let's intend peace, no more fights, no more bitterness. Picture Eldermoor laughing, sharing, growing. Feel it like it's real." They closed their eyes, and this time the hum came faster. It was like a chorus without sound, 100 hearts beating as one. Clara saw it in her mind, neighbors shaking hands, kids playing without shoving, crops sprouting tall. She felt a tear slip down her cheek, not from sadness, but from something fierce and alive. Days passed, and whispers turned to shouts. Lila said the schoolyard hadn't seen a fight all week. Tate admitted he'd shared a beer with his rival, Hank, instead of glaring over the fence. The mayor blinked at his ledger. Petty thefts were down to 0. And the river? By week's end, a scientist from the city showed up with a microscope, muttering about impossible crystals in the water, delicate and perfect, like tiny stars. Word of Eldermoor spread beyond its borders. Letters poured in, people asking, "How'd you do it?" Clara wrote back, "It's simple. We thought it together." Soon a call went out online, inspired by Lynne's global experiments. 1 million people from every corner of the earth, intending as one. On a crisp February night, screens lit up worldwide, faces young and old, all focusing on a single dream, a world stitched back together, one thought at a time. Clara stood by her river, now a mirror under the stars, and joined them. She didn't know if they'd heal it all, wars, hunger, hate, but she felt the ripple stretching far beyond Eldermoor. And as she closed her eyes, she whispered to the night, "It's a start." So here's the question, friends, as I leave you with this tale. What if Clara's right? What if our thoughts, yours, mine, ours, could ripple out and change something real? Maybe it's a river, maybe it's a heart, maybe it's the world. What'll you intend tonight?
Welcome to UF-OMG. Welcome